How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. As always, if you enjoy the video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. It helps out, means a ton. You guys get plenty of fun stuff, not just Jujutsu Kaisen, and we cover plenty of manga on the channel, so stick around, check it out, see if anything else catches your interest. But with that being said, we gotta get into it because we have Group D, finally, the last group of the first round of the Curse Technique Tournament. Now, I need to preface this and remind everybody that these techniques are not attached to the normal users we see in the series. They are attached to Nameless Fighter A and Nameless Fighter B, those fighters being dead even on all of their stats, everything across the board except for the technique they have. I say this especially in repetition on this video because, yeah, the first matchup is Limitless and Straw Doll. Limitless, we'll get back to it in a second, and with the second matchup being Blackbird Manipulation and Boogie Woogie. So, yeah, talking about Limitless, do not, I repeat, do not think about Satoru Gojo when you think about the Limitless technique. For one, his red application of the Limitless is his reversed curse technique, and these characters, these nameless fighters, do not get to use reverse curse techniques because we don't know the reverse curse techniques of all the techniques in this tournament. Sorry if I'm saying the word technique a lot, it kind of happens when you're doing this. So yeah, red is not going to be a part of this. Hollow Purple is a combination of his reverse technique and his normal technique. So yeah, that's also not going to be a part of this. And also, this nameless fighter does not get to have the 6 eyes. They just get the Limitless. Don't forget there have been people in history who have had the Limitless without having the 6 eyes. And yes, the 6 eyes aren't just pretty baby blues. They do actually increase your, I guess, knowledge of cursed energy. You can see the flow of it better and all of these kinds of things. They are a boost to Satoru Gojo. So yeah, take all that stuff, chuck it out the window. We don't need it for this. The whole teleportation part of the technique, I don't really know about. We don't really have a lot of specifics about Gojo being able to teleport, whether that's reverse stuff or not. It doesn't matter. Either way, when you really strip Limitless down in a scenario like this, it is left with its blue application, which allows to attract. It makes that singularity and things go into the singularity, basically get crushed by a little mini black hole, little mini blue hole. Anyway, you can do that, and very important not to forget about the whole just like things not being able to touch when you turn the curse technique on. That is extremely powerful defensively, so yeah, it still has very useful applications, but not what we've seen from it. Anyway, going against the Straw Doll technique. The Straw Doll technique is a pretty decent technique, I would say. I would not rank it super low. It is very good when it comes to, well, power and, power. So yeah, you're really good. Resonance is a pretty powerful technique. It just does straight up damage. That's all it does. Hairpin is a pretty useful technique for wider range damage. And even when we've seen things like Kugisaki using it in, now don't forget, it's not attached to Kugisaki, but we've seen her in the Kyoto Sister School event place nails throughout a very large area and then explode them all like a huge landmine or field of landmines. So yeah, it is a destructive technique to say the least. But here's the problem. The whole not being able to touch the Limitless thing. Yeah, you have a destructive technique, but you unfortunately got paired up with the Limitless. The Limitless doesn't really have to care about destructive techniques that much because the things go boom and then the boom just doesn't really touch you. Now, yes, the whole not touching thing is something that is turned on and off with the curse technique, but yeah, when all you have to do is just like, oh shit, curse technique on, and things just can't touch you after that, it is a really, really big advantage. And don't forget that the whole lapse blue, I think it is. Yeah, blue, it's also pretty destructive. In its singular area, yeah, that's gonna hurt. So add on the fact that the blue technique is kind of difficult to deal with when you think about the fact that the Limitless user kind of just snaps their fingers and it appears where they want it to appear. It's not like Hollow Purple where Gojo has to sit here and combine the two things and then shoot it out at him. No, you kind of just like blue. And it just makes a void and just wrecks somebody's shoulder. Yeah, it's not like this super instantaneous thing where all of a sudden it is just there. It almost seems to like grow out of the singularity to make the field that it is. But still, it's kind of difficult when you have to sit here and just wait for the thing that is coming at you and all of a sudden it's like, oh god, it's appearing on the right and you have to all of a sudden then dodge left. It's a little bit easier when things like nails are being shot at you from a hammer, and also a little bit easier when you can just stop them. So yeah, needless to say, I think the Limitless is going to go on to win this first round of Group D. Now, getting into the next round with Boogie Woogie and Blackbird Manipulation. Boogie Woogie, something that is kind of at the same time really, really good in a fight, even in a 1v1. It's also not necessarily all that great in a 1v1. Boogie Woogie really doesn't give you that many attacks to hit somebody with. You kind of have to outplay and outsmart somebody. So yeah, it's not something that's super simple and super easy to use in a 1v1. I would actually say Boogie Woogie's biggest strength in a 1v1 would be the fact that it is very, and I mean very, disorienting. Can you imagine how hard it is to fight somebody when at their will, they get to switch places with you? You don't know when it's coming, you just have to react as soon as you hear the clap. And as we have seen, you can also just fake people out and not actually switch places. It's really, really disorienting, and that should not be underestimated in a fight. If you are very disoriented, and the person that you are fighting has clear knowledge of everything that's going on and can follow everything that's going on very easily, you're at a massive, massive disadvantage. Now, with Blackbird Manipulation, this is actually a technique that even makes Boogie Woogie even stronger. So, 1. The fact that Boogie Woogie can switch with you in the middle of a 1v1. Blackbird Manipulation has crows, blackbirds that can be manipulated, and I assume these birds have some amount of cursed energy to them. I assume that's kind of how they interact with the cursed technique and cursed energy of the user. So yeah, that's another thing Boogie Woogie can switch with, just giving it more versatility to move around the battlefield as it sees fit. We also know from the series that the blackbirds are not typically strong. That Mei, the user of the technique in the series, yes, I know it's not connected, but hear me out, they have brought up the fact that they thought the technique was really weak back in the day because the birds are weak. They're just birds. You can control them. You can share eyesight, great for surveillance. That's awesome. Not so much great when somebody's right up in your face. What are you going to do? Look at the person from the back with a bird while they punch you in the face? I don't think so. So yeah, not really the best technique right off the bat. So these birds kind of sitting around pecking at the Boogie Woogie user really is almost a detriment at first. When you think about the fact that, like I said, they kind of just give the Boogie Woogie user more utility to move around the battlefield. But we do also know from Mei that there is a stronger side to the technique. You can use the birds as a, I don't know, death beacon. You can convince them or command them, even more cruel, to commit suicide. This causes the cursed energy to well up and causes the birds to shoot forward and absolutely annihilate their target. This is much more destructive capacity than anything Boogie Woogie gives you. But, here's a big but, this is why Boogie Woogie is going to move on to the quarterfinals and I would possibly say upset Blackbird Manipulation. So like we've said, Blackbird Manipulation initially doesn't really give you much of an advantage over Boogie Woogie that actually deceptively gives you a pretty big advantage in a 1v1. Then you get to this whole death beacon shooting Blackbird strike. Yeah, this is a technique that the Blackbird Manipulation user will almost certainly have to use to try and win the fight. And this is a pretty good, pretty destructive, pretty powerful ace in the hole that could absolutely mess up a Boogie Woogie user. But, here's that but I was talking about. This plays into the hand of Boogie Woogie perfectly. All they have to do is wait, time it, and switch their places with the Blackbird user as soon as the bird strike is initiated, or right before the bird strike hits. Then the Blackbird Manipulation user simply sends it out to try and win the fight, and all of a sudden they appear right in front of it and die from their own attack. Yeah, that is not going to be very pleasant and going to be a little bit embarrassing, but honestly, I don't think that's very difficult for the Boogie Woogie user to accomplish. It's never been stated that Blackbird Strike is this insanely fast technique that is undodgeable. Yes, it did say that the only person to survive the technique is Gojo Satoru, but it mentioned nothing about the speed. It is more of the destructive capacity of the attack. But, yeah, when the Boogie Woogie user can just simply out of the way, yeah, it doesn't seem quite as impressive. Or Maybe it does, but in the wrong way. You know, kind of killing yourself way. So yeah, Boogie Woogie actually sneaks it out by using Blackbird manipulation against itself. So this is what we're looking at for the quarterfinals. We have Idol Transfiguration going up against the Cloning Technique, followed by Cursed Spirit Manipulation against Blood Manipulation. That will round out Group A of the quarterfinals. And then, yes, we are doing quarterfinals in 2 groups, and then after that, it will be 1 for semifinals and 1 for finals. Yeah, Group B of the quarterfinals is going to be the Ten Shadows Technique versus Love Rendezvous, something we actually saw in the manga pretty recently, so that's kind of interesting that things worked out that way. And then we will also be having the Limitless versus Boogie Woogie to finish off Group B and the quarterfinals in general. So yeah, this has been a ton of fun so far. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below on who should have won and who should not have won. What did I miss? What didn't I miss? All of these kinds of things. Just your thoughts in general. I love talking to you guys and I respond to, well, pretty much everybody. So yeah, I'm having a blast. I hope you guys are too, and we're on to quarterfinals next, so I'm excited. Can't wait, and I'm going to get out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. I'm out.